And we are live here from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. I am Tom Downey. Let's try something different. Ensure that all the audio sounds good and everything else. No graphics. I just figured we could talk Cowboys however we wanted to talk Cowboys and different software than what we normally use. And I've got nothing really better to do with my time since I have no family obligations. So I figured we could just talk Cowboys here for the next however long we want to talk Cowboys. And any super chats that come in, I believe I have the ability to get them on screen and regular comments as well. So as long as people are tuned in and as long as especially the super chats are coming in so I can pay for the dinners that we eat and everything else, I figure we just talk Cowboys. So any questions you got, any comments you got, we can just shoot the shit here as I am at Radio Row in Indianapolis with literally nobody here. The security people are still here. Those are the only people at this time that are still out there. So let's try to see if we get some comments here. I think if I do that, it works. Look at that. Different software than what we normally got there. Super chats I will for sure get on. Other ones I'll just try to get on in general when there's chances for it. Daniel, any guys like in the combine that the Cowboys are interested in? That's a lot of them. There's plenty of players the Cowboys have shown interest in from meeting side and everything else. We'll have a full list of the formals. I know Genty is not one of them, but they'll have a 30 visit / Dallas day with him, so that's kind of a no brainer. So that's I think a big part of it. They're hunting defensive line still. They're hunting receivers. They're hunting a lot of stuff. So I think there'll be a lot of guys I like. Hopefully they take a player I have high on my board and don't reach from what things have happened in the past. So, all right, we have a super chat from Chris B, $2. There we go. Super chats I will put on as soon as humanly possible, just like the normal mailbags and normal live chat stuff here. Any juicy rumors you've heard, Cowboys, NFL in general? I see. That's what have I heard. That's also not complete bullshit like the Florio report. Also, it's 9:30, so I am going to swear tonight. I reserve the right to swear because your kid should be asleep. I'm not surprised Stafford went back to the Rams. That one was pretty expected. Kind of felt like he was just trying to use the Giants and Raiders as leverage there. If I had to bet, I would put money on the Giants are going to move up to the number 1 overall pick. But that's for Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. We'll see. I think it's Cam. I think Cam's going to go before Shedeur Sanders is. But I think you're going to see the Giants trade up to number 1 overall. Cowboys wise, the Florio report, as I mentioned last night, was BS. The Cowboys are not moving up to number 1. That was just like, no, come on. That just didn't pass the smell test from anybody involved. Osa wise, that's going to be really expensive. I've heard all the exact same stuff that guys like Fish and Nick Harris have reported. So that's going to be extremely expensive. Beyond that, we'll see. I know that I bumped into Steven last night. He was going into Prime 47, one of the restaurants here, and I think he was meeting with David Cantor, who I think that's the agent he was meeting with there. I'm not 100% sure on that one because I don't quite know faces. But I think they're actually doing stuff at this year. I kind of got the vibe that outside the meeting with Tyron and Tony Pollard, they didn't do a lot last year. So I think that they are working a bit harder. Right? I got more supers that I'm now very much behind on. All right, next up is 305A. With the hopefully impending Osa signing, what's our next move at defensive tackle? I still think you need 2 more bodies. I think you need to add a nose guard to pair with Mozzie Smith. Maybe that's in free agency. Maybe it's not. Maybe you draft someone. It's a really good draft class. I think even if you bring back Osa, you have to draft somebody, probably with one of your first 3 picks. I wouldn't be opposed to drafting somebody on day 2 or day 3 either. And I would like to sign a vet. That's part of what makes me a bit anxious with giving Osa what I trust Nick Harris a lot. I feel like this is going to be a $22 million per year deal. And that worries me. That's a lot of money to pay him. So I think Osa's back in the fold. You have a 3 tech. You got to find somebody else too. Maybe you kind of pair youth and experience, like you have Mozzie, who's young, sign a vet nose guard. You have Osu's experience, you draft a 3 technique. Maybe that's in your best path there. Michael, $5. Do you not understand the negative about the Osa contract, or do not understand the negative about Osa contract? Top 4 pressures, QB hits, pass rush, win rate 26. That is row to have. I think you've laid out the positives pretty well. That this should be a player who is still ascending. That this is a player who has not yet hit his ceiling, and we've seen the DT market blow up. And you think you're going to get the best version of him over the remainder of these next whatever if it ends up being 4 years. You're going to get 4 more years of good play out of him, really good play out of him. I think the negative side is there's sticker shock. It's big phrasing, but there's a lot of money there. It's a lot of money to pay somebody. And also the run defense hasn't been good enough. I don't think that's all Osa's fault. And even this past year, down the stretch, the run defense issues were mobile quarterbacks got them. I can't really blame the defensive tackle for that. So I think no matter what you do with Osa Odighizuwa, because it does sound like this deal will eventually get done, there's risk. You risk losing a great player. You risk paying a good player great money. So this is one of those where if I trusted them, I would have a lot more faith in it. But I don't. I just don't trust them. All right, certified chide, Jaden Higgins from Iowa State in round 2. Outside of these top receivers, Ibuka, Golden, McMillan, and Bird, not necessarily in that order, obviously. I think figuring out who the heck ends up being wide receiver 5 is a pretty wide range of options. And I think that those first 4 guys should all go well before you're on the clock in round 2, unless something weird happens, which does happen in the NFL draft. So I think you could very much see Jaden Higgins be wide receiver 5 in round 2. I tentatively have an early 3rd round grade on him. I don't know how well he's going to test. If he tests, because McMillan's not going to test, I don't think he's going to test that great. I think he's going to run like a 4.57 or something. I got Kenny Galladay comp with the size to Higgins. Elements of some Jawan Jennings to his game, can do a variety of outside inside stuff for you. So other guys I've tentatively considering kind of in that range. I really want to see how Trey Harris tests. Like if he's a big, Jack Besh is a big receiver. If those guys test well, I am excited about Jalen Royals personally out of Utah State. Curious how he does. There's a lot of guys kind of compacted in that like the day 2 wide receiver range that I want to see how they test to kind of maybe get some tiebreakers going on that stuff. All right, next up is We Don't Wife These 304s. Thoughts on Stewart at 12? You're my hero. Good question. I'm not surprised he tested the way that he did. Maybe to the extent that he did was a bit of a surprise. But I kind of like Nick Amon Ward tonight, or even Worry. I thought he was going to test super well. Like that guy was a freak athlete. I kept putting him in round 1 mock drafts because he was a freakazoid athlete. He was going to test really well. Stewart is the classic traits versus production and what were you asked to do type of deal. The pressure rate's been pretty solid over the course of Shamar Stewart's career. It's also not as good as other top pass rushers. Like it's several points behind even a guy like Donovan Ezeraku. It's way behind Abdul Carter. It's behind James Pierce. But it's also what they were asked to do. And I think the Texas A&M defense didn't put any of their guys really in a position to maximize themselves there. So I've got a 1st, 2nd cheater grade on him with the amount of 1st round grades I'm going to have. I think that's going to be like top 15 or near it. But it's kind of a lighter top end draft class. I think he fits really well with what Matt Eberflus wants to do. He's a very good run stopper. Opposite Micah Parsons, that is a really intriguing dynamic duo. Like that could end up being elite. I mean, I had written down in my notes on Shamar Stewart before any of the testing came out that he is create a player. And he didn't check in at 281 in his testing. I think being a little bit lighter helped him there. It's just it's tough to balance this guy's a freak athlete. How do you have 4.5 career sacks? So my comp going into this, and I will not be changing it at all, is Jadeveon Clowney. I think that's the type of player you're going to get in the NFL. Appreciate all the comments, guys. Again, get the supers in, regular comments in. We can, as long as the supers come in, I don't feel the need to go home anytime soon. William Cook, or back to the hotel, whatever. Why do you think the Joneses make the free agency process so difficult? It's who they are. They want to win the deal. We'll see if they are ever selectively aggressive. If that Osa number keeps rising, I'm going to get concerned because kind of feel like there's tampering going on, but that's how it works. There's always tampering. This is who they are. This is what they do. And no, I don't like it. It's very frustrating to me. All right, Philip Barnett. When do you think Micah gets his new deal and AT&T host of the Super Bowl? Oh, AT&T hosts the Super Bowl. So we go backwards here. I don't think the Cowboys will get another Super Bowl until they play an international game, probably giving up a home game in the process. That seems to be a bit of a vibe of like, hey, if you're not going to play ball with us on this, we're not going to let you have a Super Bowl again. There's really no reason why Jerry World hasn't had another Super Bowl. I get there, New Orleans is awesome. They like having it in LA and warm weather. Dallas is warm weather. They just got bad luck the last time. So I bordering on conspiracy theory, I would think that if they go international, they'll get to host the Super Bowl. Micah gets paid. That is the $40 million per year question, isn't it? I would like it if they did it before free agency. I don't think you can come up with very many good reasons why it shouldn't be done before free agency. Like to not have it done, I just think is organizational malpractice, especially if you're going to drop $20+ million on Osa, which, maybe that's like $10 million cap hit in the end. It's probably a good over under. It might even be too high for 10, but I think that's like the number you're staring down the barrel of. So that cuts into your free agency spending. You can get it all back by paying Micah. If you pay Micah and Osa for 2025, cap number doesn't change right now. It can be pretty steady and not have any real changes there. That's what I would do. And what I want to believe the Cowboys are doing is they're going to lock up Osa here a week-ish. I don't think it's going to get it done as quick as I thought it was going to be when I mentioned it on whatever day that was, Tuesday or something. I don't think it's going to get done as quick. But I think they're trending towards getting it done before free agency. Still some stuff to work on. And then their focus should be, getting Micah done too, to know how much you've got for Rico and Jourdan Lewis and others, and spending on free agency for one time. Chris B, don't mind the Osa deal because I don't trust them to spend. I said the exact phrase. I forget to who, but it was another Cowboys guy. Don't want to out them either. I forget who I said it to, but I said the exact same thing actually. That like I don't. It's a lot of money, but also like I think you can craft a really good plan of spending, let's say, $22 million on 2 DTs and a linebacker. I also don't know if they'd actually do that. I don't know if that's how they'd actually operate. So I think that's a very valid point. Chris B also heard Bobby Belt say Osa might get $27 million in free agency. I think that's what Wilkins got. Let me do some quick checking here. I think that's 27 is about what Christian Wilkins got. And outside of Wilkins' last year in Miami, which is not a fair comparison, his production was pretty similar to Osa sack-wise, but Wilkins is a way better run defender. Look, if I were to give Osa $27 million, I just can't get on board with that, even with the rising salary cap. The $22 million range, that's like just outside. It's actually like right at top 10 money. So that's probably why you're looking at that figure. That's top 10 defense tackle money, which sounds crazy to think about. But that is the money there. In terms of the value there. All right, let's see what's next here, super chat wise. Appreciate all the super chats, guys. Mighty Ants, why are people going nuts on Kavon Williams? He is. I think he's not going to beat the Cordell Patterson allegations. He does a lot of really fun things for you. He can be a running back. He can be a receiver. He's got like X receiver size and like gets handoffs in the same way Cordell Patterson kind of did. It makes him very unique. I got to talk to him today. Yeah, today. The days all blend together. My morning breakfast is 2 Red Bulls here. That's how I survive. I think it's just you don't find players who are built like that very often and can do the things he can do. But you also get into the tweener concern, the tweener conversation. So it makes it, a little bit dicey from that one. I think he's a day 2 guy. I think Besh is a better pure receiver. But, if Pittsburgh's still looking for receiver help when they get to the second or third round, that's Arthur Smith's guy. I can feel it in my bones. All right, Tommy Buster says trade Parsons for mega picks. I don't think that's what they'll do. I think you could get mega picks for him. I also think it's really hard to find a player who is on a Hall of Fame path right now. You don't find that level of player. Just, make sure he doesn't turn into Alden Smith or something weird. I think that's all you got to be worried about. I get the angle of the draft pick side. I do. But let's say you get 2 firsts and a second, right? You're spending the first round pick this year on an edge. So you're not actually getting better. Now, if you wanted to rebuild, like if you wanted to approach this as we have to tear this down, we need to get assets, we need to get a new quarterback in here, that's when the picks start to make more sense to me. But if you're trying to win in like a 3-year window, which I think the Cowboys are, I think keeping Micah makes more sense, helps you do that. Michael, do you expect Tank and Jourdan Lewis back? If I had to guess right now, Tank no, Jourdan Lewis yes. I think Tank will hit the open market, and this is guess. This is guess. So if I could very well be wrong on this. I know they've had talks with Jourdan Lewis. I think they're meeting with Tank's agent tonight, actually. Which it's the same agent. I think they're talking about Tank tonight is maybe the better way of phrasing it. Because I think David Cantor has like 4 of the Cowboys' top free agents as his guys, which I think actually really benefits the Cowboys because then they don't have to try to juggle multiple things. The agent can just know where they are. It puts a lot of power in David Cantor's hands, but maybe that's for the best with the way this team operates. I think they bring back Jourdan Lewis. I don't think there's going to be a ton of demand for him. He's a nickel. He's an aging nickel. He's good, but there was no interest last offseason in him, like none. He did not have a lot of buzz. That's why he signed for essentially the vet minimum. He'll get more than that this time around. Tank, I think, will have some more interest. I also could see a scenario where the Cowboys okay, Tank, go hit the open market. Come back to us, and let's see what you get. And maybe then that's how he returns. But I think one of Tank and Golston are gone, and I think they'll let Rico hit the open market too and just see. But it's a great draft class, so that might drive down his value too a little bit there. Chris B, just happy they are actually working. Low bar, I know. Yeah, it's a low bar. That's where we're at, man. All right, Bryce, it's time. You're the man. Thank you, Bryce. I appreciate that. We are trying something different for those of you just now tuning in. Some different software. Trying the from the NFL Combine. We're on Radio Row with the one guy here. Oh, it's Trevor Sycamore over at PFF. He's still here. And then nobody else is available. And then interviews are behind the camera back there with offensive line coming tomorrow. And drills are on the other side of the convention center over with over in Lucas Oil. So we're just shooting shit. Long as the supers come in, long as the audience is here, long as the comments are in, we'll get it going. Gabe Flores, $10 super chat, says, been watching for years. Wanted to say thanks for all you do for us. I say thank you instead. You guys have made a lot of this stuff possible for us here at Chat Sports, and being able to come to the NFL Combine, being able to overcome what was a disastrous first night when our Airbnb got broken into, and which was not fun, but we powered through it anyway. So I appreciate you guys. I wouldn't do this if I didn't have fun. I just go home and take a nap since I get like 5 hours of sleep here. All right, Rain ASMR. Tom, they can get Abdul Carter with his foot injury. I don't think so. It's something teams got to vet. So kind of like destabilizes his stock is maybe the best way of describing it. Where he might have gone number 1. He might have gone number 2. He's not getting past number 3, depending on what the quarterback situation looks like and everything. He's a top 4 lock. Maybe if you're like New England, you're like, ooh, maybe we can get him now. I think he's gonna be fine. think it's a pretty minor stress fracture. I know it had been reported that he didn't have any pain in his foot, which doesn't make any sense to me that you've got a stress fracture with no pain, unless it's like more of like a hairline stress fracture. Like that's kind of the vibe I got. So I don't think there's any chance he gets to you because, and I'll tell you why, because every single team fan base had the exact same reaction of can't go top once camera one spot before my pick. So I would love it. I don't think there's any chance though. Michael, if Micah gets done before free agency, what next? You got more money to spend. I think they're going to work hard to bring back Jourdan Lewis. The comments that had come in, and if I'd prepped this more, I probably could have played stuff. Like maybe I can sync it. Nah, it's not worth trying to get that to figure out. It's going to be a nightmare. I think they're going to focus on their own guys. Honestly, we were like the biggest issue I had with the Schottenheimer press conference was he was like one more question about free agency away from just saying we like our guys, which annoys me to no end. So I think they will do more than last year, but the bar's so incredibly low. How can they not? Like I think they'll look at defensive line help. I think they'll sign a veteran guard in free agency. They'll look at running back. They'll look at receiver. But I think the best case is you get like 3 or 4 Eric Hendricks type signings. Because if you're paying big money to Osa, they will use that as an excuse to not spend more money. That's how it goes. Get her done. A $5 super chat. It says Walter Nolan sounds like the pick the Cowboys like to make. Great physical traits, highly inconsistent. Thoughts? Sounds like you've got him nailed. Get her done. Let me pull up my draft notes here on Walter Nolan to make sure I'm reading this off. And I want to mention the exact phrase I have written down. I've got, where was it? Where were the numbers there? Wildly hot and cold. Of his 35 pressures, he had 13 in 2 games, plus 9 in 2 others, and had 6 games with 0 or 1 pressures. How? That's what I don't understand about Walter Nolan. Like the pressure rate's pretty solid. I think he was better this year at Ole Miss. He has physical traits. I was surprised he didn't test. I thought he tested really well. That was kind of weird to me. A&M was out there putting him at edge in 2023. And I'm just Jimbo Fisher was a terrorist. I've decided that. He never hit a ceiling at A&M. I don't think the A&M staff liked him that much. That's one of the things that I know Dane Brugler has mentioned too, that conflicting feedback from the Ole Miss coaching staff and the A&M coaching staff, which again, he's inconsistent. I think Walter Nolan in 3 years could end up being the best defensive tackle from this class, or it could flame out pretty quickly. The downside here is you get the physically gifted former top recruit from Ole Miss, and that's Robert Nkemdiche, flamed out of the NFL, despite being a very gifted athlete. So I don't understand how he was so inconsistent from a production standpoint. That scares me. I've got a 2nd round grade on Walter Nolan. The traits are impressive though. He's got a lot of the stuff you want as a 3 technique. But if you're paying Osa, I don't think you go 3 technique in round 1. All right, Joshua Orzech. How do you feel about Syracuse quarterback Kyle McCord in the 5th round? That's like kind of where I'm thinking quarterback is that's about the round and stuff. I think you should consider him. Let me pull up my notes. I pounded through like 10 quarterbacks before we got up here because my boy Marshall Green is the Giants Now host. I knew he was going to want to talk quarterbacks with me, and I'd been putting him off because I hate this class. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like the quarterback class at all. But McCord, I think I have a 5th round grade on him. I've got a 5th. I have him over guys like Quinn Ewers. He's got experience at both Ohio State and Syracuse. I thought he was better this year at Syracuse than he was at Ohio State, which is kind of weird because he had significantly less talent around him. They got the ball out quick. I think like I got like 2 like kind of mid and high end comps. The first one I thought of was like CJ Beathard, who's kind of carved out a nice little career as a backup quarterback. And I picked him because McCord is not a running threat. He's not going to be a runner. He's got a little bit too much of the gunslinger in him at times, and he'll make some mistakes. He had though, and this is good and bad. He had one of the worst games you'll see of a quarterback, and not all the turnovers were his fault. He had 5 interceptions against Pitt, 5 of them. It was it was ridiculous. It was just constant mistakes. And when he gets under pressure, the accuracy can wane, and the sack rate went up this year, and he had 5 fumbles. He didn't lose any of them. But after that Pitt game, he completed almost 70% of his passes for 9.3 yards per attempt, 15 TDs, and 1 pick. He responded the way you need him to respond. And I think even that first game against Virginia Tech was probably the worst one of his bunch. So I think like the absolute best case scenario from Kyle McCord is like you kind of get like a Jimmy Garoppolo, like you put him in the right system and he can like kind of game manage his way around out there. And as a backup, I think that's pretty valuable. So I do like McCord right in that day 3 range. I think Riley Leonard will be in the day 3 range. Will Howard might go a little bit early. I think Dylan Gabriel should be in the day 3 range. I think Quinn Ewers can be in the day 3 range. If anyone wants to talk Quinn Ewers, we can do that. I have issues. I'll say this too. Quinn Ewers did not formally meet with the Dallas Cowboys. I know there was a report from ML Football. Just not true. Did not happen. All right, Andrew Edwards. Can't see the coaches not falling in love with Deon Walker. They could be at 44, if not late in the first. They can't trade down, regardless of if Osa stays. Deon Walker's tough. I legitimately thought that Deon Walker, from what we saw last year, would take a step forward, and we would be talking about, are you lucky enough that he falls to you at number 12 overall? I had him pegged as a potential first-round pick going into this season. And he just wasn't that good this year. The entire Kentucky defense took a step back. Maxwell Harrison took a step back this year, which I thought was really surprising. And obviously, he just blew up the combine tonight. But you can't teach. It's the planet theory. You can't teach 6'7", 330, 340, 350, whatever he's at right now. And Kentucky successfully dropped him into coverage from edge. It's unbelievable. Now, what I would do with Deon Walker is I would actually try to play him a little bit further away from the ball on regular downs. Like I think he plays so damn tall. He just gets his pad level so high at 6'7". That's how at the Senior Bowl, the 5'10" UNC center, I forget his name, was beating him because it was a leverage game. The traits are impressive. They're so it's unbelievable the things he's able to do at his size. So I don't think he goes round 1. Possible. I think he goes at some point on day 2. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I am scare roused by him. I would risk it all for Deon Walker. I think that the upside at some point on day 2 makes it you just have to do it. All right, another super chat. Then we'll get to some regular questions, unless more super chats come in. And as long as the supers come in, we can stay alive. I don't mind just shooting shit. Bradley Connard, is Jack Besh second round possible? I think so. I think 44. I would guess is probably like the beginning of his range. I am curious how he and Trey Harris and Jaden Higgins and all those kind of bigger body outside receivers test. Higgins obviously did some slot stuff. Traded too, kind of. I think second round is possible for Jack Besh. I think it depends on what your needs are, who's on the board and stuff. All right, any more super chats coming? We'll get to those. Let's get to some regular comments here. Mo Sturge is right. Make this a thing. Hit the like button. Try to get more. I'm totally fine with that one there. All right, let's see which ones I like here. I'm also going to sip some water. Let's go to Daniel. My gut feeling is that we trade down in the first round, game all the picks. I can't go to McMillan or Janty Jones would never trade up in round 1. And there's a chance one or both those guys are there, actually. And I'm not going to say for certain. I think that the issue I've had the combine here. Someone asked like this stuff I've heard. I've heard like Janty might not go top 10. Oh, Ted McMillan might not go top 10. See people trying to say Mason Graham might not go top 10, which I thought was ready to test and kind of came in a bit lighter than expected, but I'm not going to freak out there. We're almost having the opposite effect of what we normally get in the NFL draft. And I think this is kind of the nature of this class. It's just not as good. Normally we get like 40 players. They're going round 1. They're not going to be there in round 2 for you. I think it's the opposite this year. It's almost like, well, he might not actually go top 10. I think it's because there's not a lot of true top 10 consensus players, but like there's no one getting mentioned as like, oh, well, he might go top 10. So you're just like dropping guys, but like then no one else slides in front of them. Like Shamar Stewart's probably one. But like we kind of already were putting him in near top 10 mock drafts with like Jalen Walker and stuff. It's like I think there's a chance Tet and Genty fall. Chance. It just depends on like, if the Raiders don't have a quarterback, then they might take QB at 6. And like he's not going to go top 4, top 5. So if the Raiders pass on him, Jets probably won't go receiver. Bears aren't probably not going to go receiver. Does Carolina go receiver? I don't think the Niners would. All of a sudden, Tet's there at 12 for you. He didn't run because I think he was going to run like in the high 4.5s. All right, let's go to Samuel Thomas. How about the idea of trading some players to help get more draft picks? Cowboys could use them. You're not wrong. I don't know what draft picks you're going to get. That's like the crux of what players actually have trade value for you that you want to move on from. Maybe you can get a pick for Damone Clark. If you want to move on from Terrence Steele, I think you could get a trade partner. But the Cowboys have made it very clear they don't want to move on from Terrence Steele. I think Beebe, Steele, Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton are starters next year, no matter what, barring offseason injury. Those are 4 of your starters, and it's the 5th guy is to be determined. It'll be an interior guy, and it'll determine if Beebe's a guard or center. That's my guess. All right, Daniel, what do you think about this Max Brosmer kid from Minnesota in round 7, or Tyler Shuck from Louisville? There could be late round picks the Cowboys can look at. So Brosmer first. I have an undrafted free agent grade on him. And that's tentative quarterback stuff. I will potentially change and get more evals on. I think he's like current day Mac Jones. He protects the football. He attacks the middle of the field pretty well. He can do some progression stuff. He's a bad downfield passer, though. He's not a threat to run. He took a lot of sacks, and the physical traits are not there. So 7th round, sure. Maybe he can kind of, Cooper Rush, Kellen Moore his way through as a backup QB. Tyler Shuck that is how it's pronounced, by the way, even though it's Ough. Okay, I have not dropped this comp public yet. Gen Z Brandon Whedon is my comp here. I don't. 7th round, hell yeah. Let's ride. I am on board. I have a 5th or so grade on him. But I don't see. I've heard like day 2 buzz for him, and I just don't understand it. He's got great size. I think he's very, very intelligent. I think he can command a room. He's experienced. He turns 26 in September. He is older than Trevor Lawrence is. I also gave him a Mike White comp too. Like I don't think he's, and look, he was very banged up this year, or has been banged up over the years. Broken collarbone, broken fibula, shoulder injury. He's battled through stuff, but he wasn't a great runner. He avoids sacks. I think he's a play action Jeff Brom backup quarterback merchant guy. That's what I see here. Let's see. Robert Ian says $5. You're able to trade back to 20 in my mocks. Take Golden there, get an extra 3. That's a fine strategy, actually. The issue that I run into is when I'm doing these mocks is I get to like pick 12 and like my top guys are gone and I go, okay, there's like 8 guys I like that I'll trade down. I don't have any like true first round grades left. Got a couple cheater grades left. Let me trade down. And then they're all gone. Or it's like Malachi Starks is left or safety's left. And I go, well, I can't take a safety right now because this team has too many needs. I think a trade down makes a lot of sense. And unless one of like their no doubt first round grades are there, I think a trade down is very possible. And I like to trade down. I can't claim the captain trade down moniker like Jeff can. But I like doing it. I want more shots. I know that even the best drafting teams, 60%, 70%, even early round guys. So if I can get another shot to get another 60% chance of getting a good player, I'm going to do that. Especially in this class, I think that the value comes on day 2, which kind of blends into late round 1. So I do like that idea, whether it's Golden or it's Ibuka, or I've seen Burden falling now too, which maybe I value Burden too highly. It's very possible. I like that idea. Matthew Peterson, who is currently here with the Chat Sports crew, says, come join us for dinner at Prime 47. You work too hard. I like working hard though. So thank you for the invite, Petey. But as long as the super chats are coming in, Petey, how can I leave? So that's up to you guys watching to keep sending in the supers. Christopher Sparks, who would be your first 3-round picks? That's a good question. Can I hold on? Let me try something. Here. Let me see if I can do this. Can we try a mock draft sim right now? Do you guys want to try that? Let me see. I have no idea if this is going to work. Let me see if I can actually do this work. We'll do 3 rounds. Let me see if this works. No trades. Let me just see if this works. Okay, we're coming. Let me see if this works. Let me share screen. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's trying to. This might not work. This might not work. Let me try it. I don't know if this is gonna work. I can't do this. All right, let's try it. I have no idea if this is gonna work. Let me see if this works. Oh, it's working. This is great. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do a mock draft here together then. Like ideal picks. So I'll recap what's gone. So Cam Ward's gone. Travis Hunter's gone. Mason Graham is gone. Abdul Carter's gone. Tet McMillan, Shadur Sanders, Tyler Warren, Will Campbell, Mike Green, Ashton Genty, James Pierce are gone. This is fun. Let's see how this goes here. You guys can chime in with who you want to do. So I think this is working here, which is this is electric. So I got Luther Burden's here, Jahdae Barron's here, Malachi Starks is here, Jahad Campbell is here, Will Johnson is here, Kenneth Grant, Josh Simmons, Emeka Ibuka, Kelvin Banks, Derek Harmon, Micah Williams, Shamar Stewart, Armand Membu. If this is how the board falls and the Cowboys aren't sold on Luther Burden being the best, I think Sack, I think Brian, I think Bradley are all right. I think we trade down. So let's go to this. Colts want to trade down. Let's go to 7. Let's go to 18 with Seattle then. I think that's fair. That gives us some better options. So I'll send 12. I'll send for 18. Can I get 82? Okay. Look at this. I'm just spam picks here. Look at that. Trade not accepted. It says it's likely to be accepted. Let me take off some of these picks. Okay, so we'll move down. I will say I think at times I think the PFF sim is a little bit crazy of I think 12 to 18 for a 3 I think is pretty fair. To get 137, 173, I think that's kind of crazy. Now I'm very high on Burden. So I'd be pretty happy taking him, but I got a lot of guys that I like here. So I'm just gonna trade down and we'll see who we lose. So we lose Burden. Why is Seattle trading up for Luther Burden? Are they trading away DK in this scenario? Jeez. Kenneth Grant is gone. Jahad Campbell is gone. Jahdae Barron is gone. Kelvin Banks is gone. And Walter Nolan is gone. So I got Malachi Starks. I got Will Johnson, Josh Simmons, Emeka Ibuka, Derek Harmon, Micah Williams, Shamar Stewart, Matthew Golden. Also Jalen Walker, because PFF hates Jalen Walker, that is what it is. So this is okay, which path do I go with there? It's I would have loved to have Burden in that scenario, right? Which is weird to me. The Rams want to trade down to 26. If you wanted to get unhinged, I'd consider doing that one. In this scenario, this is where I probably lean towards a receiver. I'm tempted by Micah Williams. I guarantee the next time we do a mock draft, Shamar Stewart will be in the top 20 of their sims. I'm very tempted by those edge rushers. I like Golden a lot. I like Ibuka a lot. I don't think there's any wrong answers. I think some of these edges should not be here in real life. That's kind of that's not fair. That's not how it's supposed to go. So for the simplicity of this, Sack wants to trade down again. I don't hate the idea. I'll take Ibuka here. Although he and Golden are very similar for me. They're not going to take a safety. That's too big of a need. I think if Will Johnson were here, they'd consider it. Simmons has a patella tendon that I'm worried about. I'll take Ibuka just as an example of like screwing around. We're doing live mock drafts here, which I think is just how I think Ibuka and his run blocking I think actually fits very well with what the Cowboys want. So for this sim, we'll take Ibuka. So then recent picks here, like Deon Walker falling to 35. What are we doing here? This is sometimes the sims are just absolute nonsense. Jack Besh, Elokim Honor. So like at this point, like now I am glad that I took a receiver because it's a little dicey. Like a couple big notable guys are gone. Okay, so Uman Nielen, the Cowboys hit a formal with, is on the board. Siobhan Ravel, Jack Sawyer, Tyler Booker, Alfred Collins, Brady Swinson, Nick Amanwari, Cam Scadaboo, JT Tuimoloau, Carson Schweschinger. Let's see, Omar Norman Lott. Let's see. A very Cowboys pick would be Siobhan Ravel as their Blue Star special. I got to say, though, I think Tyler Booker at 47 is – I think he's going to go earlier than that. I know a lot of you guys want running backs in this scenario. They're all here, though. Because, again, Scadaboo, Sampson, Johnson, Henderson, Judkins, they're all there at 37. So I'm going to gamble and not take a running back, and I'm going to go take Tyler Booker here. Because I think that's – I can plug him in at right guard, and I'm locked in. So I have all my running backs except for Amari and Hampton. I think he's gone. Let me double check. Are they all there? Yeah, Hampton's gone. Hampton went 22. Caleb Johnson is at 63. So I'm gonna take Booker, and I'm gonna see if I can get lucky and have a running back drop to me. And this also works if they're not there, of the dangers of not getting lucky and not having your backs on the board for you. So I'm going to go right to the running backs, and we're cooked. Devin Neal, Harvey, Giddens, Jaden Blue. So now I can get a lot of good day 3 guys, but I screwed up. I screwed up by not taking a running back. And this is what happened to the Cowboys in previous years. That's what makes this fun. Now, on the bright side, there's a lot of good players here still. Like I think Maxwell Harrison or Nick Amanwari, I think those guys have a chance to go round 1. So like in this scenario, I kind of got cooked. I got cooked a little bit here. Damn it. Tight ends, more guards, receivers. Are any good DTs on the board? There's a bunch of good good round 3 receivers. Hey, there's Deon Walker. Take him in a second. All right, let's just screw around. Let's finish this up. We'll take Maxwell Harrison. And we'll just take Nick Amanwari since I messed up. I should have. Daniel's right. I should have taken a running back at 44. I think that's also like one of those examples where if I were actually like not speeding down and just like skipping all the picks, once I saw like 2 or 3 of those backs would go, I would have traded up and would have said, "Hey, let's go trade up and get somebody." As opposed to like very low on Jordan James, by the way. By the way, keep an eye on this name for tomorrow. Bashal Tutin, the Virginia Tech back. He's going to test really well. And no one's talking about him, but he's going to test. He's going to test super well. All right, I am going to stop sharing this for now. We got more super chats, but we can come back to that and do another one in a little bit. I guess I think that's fun. Let's get to Andrew Edwards' $5 super chat. Ideal scenario for me is we sign Ritter, draft Donovan Smith, Houston quarterback, super move off undrafted free agency. If he goes as a UDFA, I drop my watch. So hold on. I think Donovan Smith will go undrafted. I don't think he's getting drafted at all. He's not here for a reason. He got benched and lost his job at Houston. I don't think he's getting drafted. I think he's going to have to fight for a roster spot as like a practice squad quarterback this upcoming year. His stock went from there are people who liked him, and I didn't have the highest grades on Donovan Smith going into this year. And then he struggled. He struggled pretty badly. Ritter, though, is a signing. I actually am intrigued by that. As like your QB3, young developmental guy to an extent still. I actually don't hate that one at all. All right, let's try this. Let's have some fun here. I'm going to reset the mock draft here. Let me share the screen again. How do I do this? Present, share screen, share screen. Let's share this, and we can do an impromptu fan-led mock draft. Who's in? Who's in? We'll go 3 rounds. I'll put it on fast so I can pause it. And we won't trade up in round 1. And I'll use the pinned poll feature to help us do this. Let's see who's available here. Oh, boy. All right, so Ashton Genty's there. He's an option. We'll try to limit this to, so we got 4 options here. Let's put, Tet's gone. Let's put, throw some names and suggestions in the comments if you want it. We're doing impromptu fan-led mock draft here. So you guys get to vote, but I got to put names in here. So let's put Mike Green in there. Even with the off the field stuff, which we can discuss. Let's do Will Johnson, and we'll do trade down as an option. And then we'll leave it up there for like 5 minutes, maybe in that range. Let me go tweet this out again too with impromptu fan-led mock. Where is that? Let me find it. Let me get this tweet out. Okay, that is set. Let's look at the pin poll. I'm also going to show some of these supers like as the votes come in so we can do stuff here. Joshua, what is your honest projection for Deuce Vaughn? Fight to make the team. I know that Connor Riley's there and that matters, and I think maybe you can scheme up better stuff for him. I think they have to add more running back talent, and I think that kind of relegates him to a backup. I think they have to invest in him. Right now, Ashton Genty is getting 75% of the vote, so that's not surprising there. A good point of the trade back options are plentiful. 14. I'd probably go down to 16. I don't want 24 is too far, I think, for this, but 16 is probably the trade I try to make and pick up a third. Like you can move down to 16 and get 78. So 12 to 16 and get 78 is the trade option there. Peacock 1, I watched Damian Martinez from Miami. Surprised he's so low in the draft. Take him to the 5th and get some other priorities earlier rounds. I think in general, part of the running back, I'm surprised he's available. There's a lot of good ones in this class. I mean, let's just scroll through all of the backs here, and we'll just use the PFF one. Genty, Hampton, Scadaboo, Sampson, Caleb Johnson, Traven Henderson, Quinshon Judkins. I like Devin Neal a lot. RJ Harvey, DJ Giddens, Jaden Blue's going to test great. Damian Martinez, Brashad Smith's fun. Jarquez Hunter, Trevor Etienne, Kyle Monungai's fun. Bashal Tootin, don't sleep on him. Jordan James has fans. Ollie Gordon, we're talking about him as a first-round pick last year, and then he had a terrible year. Taj Brooks is a battering ram. LaQuint Allen has fans. We'll see how Rocket Sanders tests. There's an unbelievable amount of depth in the running back room that makes it kind of crazy from that angle. All right, Peacock 1 is in. Or I guess I did that one already, so there's space to show it. So pin poll right now is 72% for Ashton Genty. I am going to end the poll, and we're drafting Genty. And we'll let this go a little bit slower-ish, and we'll start a new one there. All right, so round 2 pick. And again, I want you guys to comment with, ideas for who you want to consider taking here. And I will put – this is just going to be trade down is going to be the first option because I know you guys are going to want to do that. Donovan Ezeraku is there. Ooh, it's kind of fun. Siobhan Revell, Shamar Turner, Tyler Booker. I don't love the receivers that are here. Restrepo and Higgins. I'll think you guys mostly like Jaden Higgins more, maybe. be my guess. I'm not actually sure on that one. People are spamming receiver, but I think you could trade down. But I'll put. I don't think Restrepo's a fit, by the way. So I'm going to give Jaden Higgins as an option here. And I think we should go. I think we should go. I'll just put wide receiver TBD, and we can always do a second one if you guys just want to take a receiver no matter what. Let's put Tyler Booker on there, and I think we'll put Siobhan Ravel value as like the value classic Cowboys injured pick. So that's going in there now. If you guys have super chats, feel free to throw them in, because as long as the supers are coming in, we'll stay live. But then at some point, I'll probably go to sleep. I'll shuffle through some of the suggestions here. Daniel says if you took Genty at 12, go get the Stanford receiver. I like Elke Omenor. He went 42 off the board, so he is unavailable. Let me know if you guys can actually see me with my mouse or not, or if it's just not there. I don't think you guys can see it. Who's to say? Trade down. Higgins. Besh in the third. Trade down. Booker. Williams. Also, let me reset this to boom. Trade down. Williams. Besh. Trade back. Williams. Let's check the poll here. Ooh, that's a close. Wow, this is tight. 31% across the board. Now 35 for trade down. I want to get some more votes in there before I make decisions. Someone's asking for Tez Johnson. Let me see where PFF even has him. They've got him at 94, which I think this receiver class in general. I think they're way too high in Restrepo. He's a good player, but he's slot only. Maybe just doesn't fit for the Cowboys. Higgins, Royals, Williams, Bond, Johnson, Harris, Jalen Knoll, Elke Omenor is gone. Jack Besh actually went at 37, by the way. Jack Besh is gone. I think all those guys have a legit argument to be like, I am the 5th and 6th and 7th best receivers in this class, which makes things kind of tricky in terms of where things sit. So if we trade down, I think what I will do is like just give options of like the best fits. There's a lot of teams that want to trade up: 47, 49, 50, 52, 55, 57, 58, 60, 63, 71. We're not doing 71, obviously. 59, 49 seems kind of tight. Maybe we just pick like 49 and 52, 55, 57 as the options, and I'll let you guys vote. But this is this is super close right now. It's a very narrow race, so I don't want to like give it up on that front there. We got another super chat here from We Don't Wife These 304s. Thoughts on Marcus Yarns? I have not watched him yet. I can actually go check here right now what I have, if I even have any Delaware film. If I'm gonna have to call in some favors on that front. Let me see. Do I have Delaware film? I'm just looking right now. I've got Delaware film. I've got Albany, Rhode Island, and Villanova games I can watch of him. So I will get to him. It's good I have 3 because I like to have at least 3. So I got Albany, Rhode Island, Villanova for Marcus Yarns. I have not gotten to him. So my first real look at him will be tomorrow when he does testing and drills and everything. So good question. TBD on that front. All right, the pin poll is 33% trade down. So I'm gonna give trade down the win. I'm gonna end the poll, and we'll do where do you want to trade down to? Let me see. Once this poll allows me to start back up here, close out of some tabs too. I hope the internet connection is stable. By the way, I'm on Wi-Fi at the combine, which is always dicey. All right. How far to trade down? All right, so we will do, let me see here. Let's do 49. Let's do number 52, number 55, and 57. I don't want to go to 60. Is a pretty false far drop there. But that's only. I think that's good balance. Maybe I'll do. Yeah, I think let's do that. We can always change it if we need to as well. So you can vote now in the pin poll on the YouTube side. How far to trade down? 49, 52, 55, 57. I'll give you guys some time there. As supers come in, we'll hit them. It looks different. Obviously, we can still hit them there in the end. We'll hit any other comments that come in, and then we'll see. I can probably get a third round. I might be able to get a third round for trading down. We'll see. I'd like to get a third. And if we don't get a third, I think I'll rig it and just like send a pick back in the future just to have more fun with it. So I know Jace and Mr. Slinky and Trill are all down to trade down. Let's see. What's the pin poll voting here? It's a two-way race between 52 and 49. No one wants 57. Okay. I mean, I'm not mad at it. It's pretty funny that nobody voted for it there. I'll let it get to like at least 50 votes, and then we'll go from there with the impromptu fan-led mock draft. I feel like 52 is going to be the answer here. I feel like that's going to be the one that ends up winning. Show McCann Mode's comment just because I can here. All right. Oh my God, it's so narrow. I'm going to give it to 52. We'll trade down to 52 with Denver. 44, 52, 84. This is 150. Let's see if this works. So we moved. I want to have another third round pick because it's fun. So I sent him 155 too. So I moved down 8 spots and send a fifth for one of my multitude of fifths for 84. So sweet. All right, let's end the poll here. Even though it's now tied at 49-52, which is pretty funny. All right, let's see who's still there then. Okay, so we lost Zaraku, Booker, Swinson, Collins, Ravel. Okay, let's throw Maxwell Harrison in there. I would say let's not trade down again because that just gets a little bit too chaotic. Maxwell Harrison. I really don't think Nick Amon-Warrior is going to be there. I'd say a lot of the receivers are there. I like Carson Schlesinger as a linebacker. I'll put him in there. Take Wanye Thomas's brother if you wanted to. Let's see what the DTs are like here. There are some good DTs. I'm gonna put two guys I like in Harrison and Schlesinger. I'll put Jaden Higgins in there at wide receiver. Or actually, you know what? Let's just do. We can be here all night. Wide receiver TBD, and I don't love the DTs there, frankly. Any guards I like? It's all centers. Tackles, you can play a guard. Donovan Jackson. Just throw a guard in there. Why not? I don't have any DTs. Booker is gone. I'll just put Donovan Jackson, or I'll just do DT TBD. We can force in Jordan Phillips or something. So let's just do that. Let's do that. Votes are in since they had some DTs. Maxwell Harrison, Carson Schlesinger. We can vote together on a wide receiver or vote together on a defensive tackle. That's what we can do. Let's get any more comments that have come in here that I like. Best path. This is from the can mode. Best path, trade ending under 3 or 4, draft it back in the first, get either Bond, Besh, or top corner in the second, or an lineman, get one of those 3 in the third and or in the fourth. I don't know if I want to, if I'm trading down and taking a running back in round 1, I want it to be Genty. So I don't want to trade down to like 18 and take Hampton or Johnson. I don't love that idea necessarily. Don't hate it, but I don't love it necessarily either. Seems to be a 2-vote race right now between Maxwell Harrison and wide receiver TBD. Maybe it's the bias of watching Harrison just look awesome, 20 minutes ago, or whatever it was at the combine. As your votes come in, let's hit Jace. Thoughts on Dylan Gabriel in general? Has a lot of experience. Let me read from my notes, and then once I finish this up, we'll make a pick on everything here. I have written down better version of Kellen Moore as my comp. Because I think he's an undersized lefty, but I think he's a better athlete than Kellen Moore ever was. He's a gamer. He doesn't have very good physical traits. He doesn't have the arm. He's very undersized. He can scramble, but he's not a running threat necessarily. The Oregon offense was very game manager, but I also saw him push the ball downfield more at like Oklahoma. So I think that's just partially the offense more than anything else. He's not the greatest downfield thrower. Didn't push the ball downfield that much either. When he did, it was moderately successful, but I know he can do it a little bit. I think he can be a good game manager backup in the end. All right. The voting here is wide receiver TBD. So let's put the wide receiver options up then. You guys can, again, continue to comment on these. So we'll definitely put Jourdan Higgins in there. Let me go away off the tackle. We'll put Jourdan Higgins in there. Slinky asked to trade back to 25 to get Hampton. That one I don't mind, actually. Hopefully I'm not lagging out because my computer's getting a little bit slow here. Of like trying to type stuff. So let me. Yeah, that's it. If I'm lagging for you guys, I'm sorry, but I'm lagging here on my end. Let me close out of some shit. Jourdan Higgins. Let's see. We want to go Jalen Royals for sure. Hopefully that didn't crash on my end. The YouTube stream crashed for me. As long as the audio is fine, I guess that's fine. If it's a little laggy elsewhere, it's kind of what I expected, frankly. Just pause this. All right, Jourdan Higgins, Kavon Williams. Let's do draft a wide receiver. Make sure I spell names correctly. Jalen Royals for sure. And I see. I like Trey Harris and Tez Johnson. Let's do Trey Harris. Or you know what? I'm just going to go in order of the four, and I'll put Isaiah Bond on here. I think that's fair. That's the fairest way to do this. Even though there's like 7 receivers, I think you make real arguments for. We'll try to balance it out a little bit here. So go vote on your receivers there. And again, any super chats that come in, we'll hit those. I think plan here, since we've been live for over an hour, is we'll finish up the mock draft. And then if there are supers that are still coming in, I'll hang out with the guys. Otherwise, I got to go home and pack. Got to go back to the hotel and pack things up here. So we'll do that. I thought about Tez. It's not a slight. Tez and Trey Harris are all very strong options, but I just wanted to pick the top 4 to keep it as fair as possible and not dilute things in the end. So you can vote for Jourdan Higgins from Iowa State, Kavon Williams from TCU, Jalen Royals, who I actually like a lot out of Utah State, but I know he's not for everybody, and Isaiah Bond out of Texas. So we'll get to at least 50 with, again, narrow voting. Very narrow voting on that one. So stand by on that front. Appreciate everyone who's tuned in tonight. I've enjoyed it. It gives me something to do instead of, I don't know, eating dinner or some shit. I mean, it's just on Red Bull. That's all I need. Let me sip this. Trillex, when Williams runs a 4 through tomorrow, I don't want to hear it. I'm excited to see how he tests. I am very excited to see how he tests. Because I'm gonna ride my Cordero Patterson comp. Let me see what Cordero ran. Wasn't he like a 4.33 guy? Wasn't he 4.33? 4.42. Look, man, if Savion can run 4.4s, that's really a good time for him. All right, let's finalize the poll voting here. Savion's got 41% of the vote. We're drafted him, and we're moving on. All right, so we're going to go all the way down to pick 67 here. I think no more trades. 76. So I went full dyslexic there. All right. Why are Maxwell Hairston and Nick Amonwori both on the board here? All right, let's just put them on. Maybe they flunked some medical testing. All right, let's put Maxwell Hairston, Nick Amonwori. Sometimes the Sims, man. We got a running back. Let's put Jordan Phillips up there from Maryland. He's fun. And then I'll put Wyatt Millam in there too at a West Virginia. I think could be a guard option for you. I feel like it's going to be a two-man race with like probably Maxwell Harrison in a runaway. This is like the side of like, we're doing a mock draft sim in the combine, and the guy that just blew it up was like in the late second round and somehow fell kind of crazy. I think Amonwori goes round 1. I've put him in round 1 mock drafts. I think Maxwell Harrison might go round 1 too, but we're at the mercy of the sim. We're at the mercy of the sim. So we'll do with it what we'll just do how things go. In the end, let's go. Got Maxwell, Hairston, Maxwell, Hairston, the DT, Wyatt, DT. Let's see what the pin voting is. It is 60% Maxwell Hairston. It's a landslide. Let's draft him. I think we got one more third from our trade down because I moved a 5th to get one back. Pick number 84. All right, so we've got. Why is Nick Amonwori going after Sebastian Castro and Kevin Winston Jr.? This is nonsense. Should I even put him in there? Or is it just like does it not even make sense to have him in there at all? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why is he available? I'll put Elijah Arroyo in there as a tight end. Oh, I get a DT, I guess. I'll put Deon Walker in there. I'll put Nick Amonwori in there. I don't know why he fell. It just doesn't make any sense. That's nonsense. He shouldn't be there. And I'll put I think the linebackers I like here. I might just pick someone that I like. Tight end, Bond, Grant. I don't mind Grant, Belton. I think Jared Wilson's going to test pretty well on Sunday. Let's put Tate Ratledge in there. I know many of you guys have asked about him before. Pretty sure I misspelled his name, but at this point, it's fine. Let's hit this other super chat, and then we'll two more super chats. Then we'll go back to the picks. Okay, so we got Reese. I think the Cowboys are out on Burden. If Genty's gone at 12, trade on and grab Hampton at around 17 to 20. 17-20 is still a bit rich for me. I do want to see how both him and Caleb Johnson test. I think that both those guys are real RB2 candidates. But trade downs make me feel better about everything. So I do want to acknowledge that. I don't think they're out on Burden. Burden was not telling people who he met with at the combine. So, I would not be surprised if he was a 40 visit. I would think that he is. I'll say this, especially from a coaching staff perspective, they're not there yet. They have not begun their real draft prep. They haven't had the time. Schottenheimer was talking about that with Ashton Genty. He's like, I know who he is. I've seen the highlights, but I haven't studied him yet. I got to get I got my coaching staff set up. I'm trying to figure out who we're going to be able to retain in free agency and our internal guys, and then I'll get to draft stuff. So he's just not there yet. The same way maybe like a 6-year vet would be. Jotman, what would say the biggest needs are? I don't fully agree with PFF needs listed, or at least in that order, since DT isn't there. Yeah, they got running back, wide receiver, tight end, edge, or tackle and edge, and I agree. DT has to be on there. DT might be 1 or 2 above, right there with running back, receiver. I think guard is a far bigger need than tackle, but you can call that O-line and get away with it. And then, I think edge and linebacker are right there from a depth perspective, especially with some losses. But I think DT not being there doesn't make any sense. All right, 53% are voting for Deon Walker, who I like. I think he's a very fun dynamic football player that has great upside and concerns overall. Let's see what they gave us on the grade. A+ for Genty, D for Kavon Williams, A for Maxwell Harrison, C- for Deon Walker, A- grade though. The grades don't really matter. All right, I'll give you guys like a minute here, and if more supers come in, I'll stay live. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead and sign off here. Let's see. Any other comments I like here? I think two bro to pay attention is true. Running back, receiver, DT, not in that particular order. I agree. I think those are your top three. I don't disagree here, Jonathan. The nature of Sims, as I'll stop the screen sharing, is that to get the randomness that makes it a simulator, stupid stuff has to happen, and you're going to see some of it sometimes. They need an update. I wish PFF would go with like just a consensus big board and do it that way. I think you can get better planning results. But stuff happens. Like we never thought Darnell Washington would fall to where he fell, but he had medical stuff that we didn't know about. I agree. I think Amon Moore is not going to be there, but Deon is a realistic good pick there. And I agree. Last one from Logan. I like Hampton a lot too. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Just fun little hour and change, just shooting the shit conversation. So I don't know how often we'll be able to do this because normally I have, dad responsibilities I have to handle and, husband responsibilities I have to handle. But hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll sign off here. We'll have another video for you guys tomorrow. And we will have a video Sunday and then back live again on Monday for like our normal live show. And we will do like a full actual like normal type of like fan-led mock draft. So Brandon, I don't think live at 7 next week will work because that would get me in a lot of trouble with the wife. But we will see you guys again tomorrow on demand and Monday live. Appreciate everyone who tuned in.